Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Trading for Life. I just want to apologize for not uploading. I got sick, and it was frustrating. I even lost my voice, but after 10 days of recovery, we're finally back. I hope you all stay healthy and avoid the new viruses going around. With that being said, let's get started. In this episode, we'll cover macro news, what happened in the markets, and the outlook for the upcoming week. Buckle up and stay with us. I'll also share the most important chart you need to watch before the week begins. Let's start with the news. President Donald Trump signaled last week that stock market investors are on their own, and Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell is expected to echo that message during this week's policy meeting. The upside risks to inflation lead us to believe there's little chance of a Powell put, despite recent equity market weakness, said Stephen Brown, Deputy Chief U.S. Economist at Capital Economics. A Fed put refers to the idea that policymakers might step in with rate cuts or other measures to support markets during steep declines, something investors have speculated on since the 1987 crash when the Fed, led by Alan Greenspan, intervened with rate cuts. Several Wall Street strategists have lowered their 2025 S&P 500 targets as the index neared correction territory. However, Oppenheimer's Stoltzfus remains firm on his 7,100 target, advising clients to stick with U.S. stocks. Markets are still grappling with the potential impact of Trump's tariffs on the economy and corporate earnings. U.S. stocks, rattled by Trump's tariff policies, face a key Fed meeting as investors seek rate cut signals. The S&P 500 entered correction territory, dropping over 10% from its February high before rebounding Friday. The decline erased over $4 trillion in market value. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent acknowledged the possibility of an economic slowdown, but ruled out a financial crisis, stating there are no guarantees the U.S. will avoid a recession. Peru's economy likely grew around 4% in January, according to central bank chief economist Adrian Armas. This aligns with forecasts as the country rebounds from its 2023 recession. The government expects 4% growth in 2025, making Peru one of the region's fastest-growing economies. Now let's add some depth to the conversation with key data points. We'll start with that's a compelling trend. A sustained decline in housing starts has historically been a red flag for economic slowdowns. Given the 25% drop since the 2022 peak, it's worth watching whether this trend continues into 2026. Do you think the Fed's rate policy will ease enough to stabilize the market, or are we heading for deeper trouble? The decline in the quits rate is a clear sign that workers are feeling less confident about finding better-paying jobs, which aligns with cooling wage growth. If this trend continues, it could ease inflationary pressures, giving the Fed more room to adjust policy. Do you see this as a positive for markets, or could slowing wage growth signal broader economic weakness? This is truly insane. Doge's spending cuts are ramping up so quickly that United Airlines announced government travel is down a massive 50%. U.S. airline stocks have now erased over $20 billion in market cap over the last 4 weeks. What's happening here? It all began with this headline on February 19th from United Airlines CEO. He said government travel has fallen off since Trump's inauguration on January 20th. Just weeks later, on March 11th, Delta Airlines revised its Q1 2025 earnings outlook. Revenue growth guidance fell from approximately 8% to approximately 3.5%. Margins dropped from approximately 7% to approximately 4.5%. EPS expectations plunged by over 50%. This triggered a landslide in airline stocks. Then, on March 6th, Challenger Gray data confirmed just how severe these layoffs have been. Total Doge job cuts have surged to 62,530 in 2025, a staggering 41,311% increase compared to 2024. This has further dampened travel in one of the airline industry's most profitable segments. Historically, United Airlines generates over $1 billion in revenue from government travel each year. The last piece of data I want to show you guys is that Americans have rarely been so pessimistic about the future. US consumers' expectations for their financial situation over the next 5 years have fallen to an 11-year low. Over the past year, the financial outlook has deteriorated as inflation continues to be a major concern for households. In fact, around 40% of respondents in the University of Michigan survey blamed high prices for eroding their living standards, and 84% expect inflation to outpace their wage growth. Consumers are simply exhausted by inflation. Now let's review the S&P 500 heat map for last week. Microsoft was down 1.21%. Nvidia was up 8%. Apple dropped more than 10%. Visa and JP Morgan were both down 4%, with most banks in the red. Amazon and United Health were flat for the week. Google and Tesla both fell 5%. Overall, the market was mostly red. The only sectors that performed well were energy, XLE, and utilities, XLU. The Fear and Greed Index is now back at 21, signaling extreme fear. As Warren Buffett famously said, "Be greedy when others are fearful." What do you think, guys? Would you buy the dip or go all in here? Let me know in the comments. The AAII net sentiment is nearing record bearish levels, one of the most negative readings ever. And you know what usually happens next? When everyone turns bearish, the market tends to pump. This week's most notable earnings. Monday, 360 Digitech. Tuesday, Xpeng, Tencent Music Entertainment. Wednesday, Five Below, Signet Jewelers, Williams-Sonoma, Ollie's Bargain Outlet, J. Jill, General Mills, Tencent. Thursday, Micron Technology, Jabil, Nike, Academy Sports, Plus Outdoors, FedEx, PDD Holdings, Lenner, Darden Restaurants, Accenture. Friday, NIO, Carnival. Now let's do some charts. SPY Daily Chart Analysis. Support. The 550 level is holding well. Upside target. Bulls need to push above 565. If successful, my target for the week is 585. Downside risk. If the trend line fails to hold, expect a waterfall drop, with bears taking control. Key event to watch. Fed Chair. Jerome Powell speaks on Wednesday. This could drive major market moves. Stay alert. Key events. This week, Monday, U.S. retail sales, NY Fed manufacturing survey. Tuesday, NVIDIA GTC 2025. Wednesday, Fed policy decision, FOMC dot plot release, Powell press conference. Thursday, initial jobless claims, Philly, Fed manufacturing survey, Nike earnings, FedEx earnings, Micron earnings. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap for this week's video. Hopefully you found value in it. If you did, please like and subscribe. It really helps out. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.